consistency just overrides everything. I never balked on a training session.
How do you define discipline, and is that something, to be an elite athlete, do you need to have discipline?
Yeah, definitely. You've got to be tough as nails. I mean, nothing stands in your way.
Welcome to the M26FIT Podcast. I'm your host, Magnus Olson. Our next guest is one of Australia's greatest distance athletes. Pat Carroll, OAM, is a former elite runner. He's a 4-time Gold Coast Marathon winner, breaking the 2-hour 10 barrier before dedicating his life to coaching and mentoring athletes and everyday warriors. Over the years, through his running club, he's helped thousands improve their technique, become stronger, more confident, and discover their true potential. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks, Mags. Yeah, thanks for asking me along. It's quite fitting that we're here at South Bank and
your backyard.
Well, I've run past here thousands of times, mate. Yeah.
And I've sat here a couple of times as well, enjoying coffee out of the mighty combi.
Yeah. So it's beautiful now with all the flora around and whatever. It's beautiful today.
So you've competed at the highest level against the world's best, breaking records. When you reflect back on your career, is there a standout moment that you're most proud of?
When I'd say when I won marathon in Japan. So marathon running in Japan is a pretty big thing, and they have 5. Well, it's probably more now, but back in the day there was 5 major marathons in Japan. I won one of them, and which was great, and I got a lot of lot of mileage out of it, and put me up there on the world scene for a few years. So that was great. I had a ding-dong battle with the guy who was the bronze medalist from the Olympics a couple of years earlier. And the world record holder, marathon world record holder, was in the race also, and so I got some good scalps that day.
Before a big race like that, what goes through your mind?
You just got to try and stay as relaxed as you can. So there's no point in getting uptight and thinking too much about it. You do all the thinking in the months beforehand or whatever, maybe a few weeks out. But I sort of learnt through my career that what's the point in getting all worked up about it? I used to, and then in my early days, and then I realised that I never got nervous once the gun went off, once the race was started. Once I was in there, it was like this sense of relief that the waiting was over, you could get into it. So I sort of, when I was lying in bed at night and I couldn't get to sleep, whatever, I just tap into what it's like when the race has started and you're running along and you've got no worries because, the waiting's over. So I would even sort of do a lot of visualization. So I visualize, myself in the race, the waiting's over, you're into it, let's go.
So once that gun has gone off and you're underway, I hear this a lot from distance runners, that there's a point in the race, it's the 30K mark or whatever, that you hit the wall. Did that happen for you? Did you have a strategy or anything on how you push through?
Yeah, you go through periods. You can be feeling rough at 5K. You're running close to 20K an hour, so you could, at 5K you'd be going, oh, this is bloody ridiculous. I'm not going to be able to keep this up for, for 2 hours and whatever in total. I'm not going to be able to do this. And then you settle down and you almost you find yourself to the point where you're tripping up on the person in front of you. You sort of get a second wind, so to speak. But I had some shockers. I basically when you vonk or when you blow up, you just can't go any faster. Every step is slower than the previous one. You're completely depleted, your glycogen stores, whatever, and it's just try and get yourself to that finish line. So it can be tough, as no one can talk you out of it. Your body's just got nothing left. Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting. So you run 20 kilometres in 1 hour, so that's 5Ks every 15 minutes. It takes me about 25 minutes to run 5Ks, and you're doing that for
a long time ago. Not now. Now I couldn't run probably down to about 4 or maybe 300 metres or 400 metres. I possibly can't run 300 metres the pace I used to run for a marathon. I'm 64 now, but I still run. But I'm a shadow of my old self. So we're talking a number of decades ago.
Yeah. So let's circle back a bit. So when you go back to your childhood, when you're growing up, were you always a good distance runner, and was there a particular time when you thought, hang on a second, I'm actually pretty good at this?
Yeah, not really. I went to school just up here at St Lawrence's, and was in the junior cross country team, but then I made the school cross country team, I think 1 or 2 years, which is pretty good. But then the last 4 years of school, I didn't do any sport at all. Anyway, finally, when I left school, took up karate, loved that, used to train to supplement my karate, less karate, more running, so, and took up running. And so I used to run aimlessly around Brisbane City here, and this spot where we are today is I was running through here, I'd say 45 years ago. I was running through here, and it was nothing like what we've got now. It was just full of sheds. All the way along here was sheds, and because the ships used to come in, probably the ships weren't coming in back then, but they were still here. So the ships would come in back in the day, and they'd unload at all the sheds along here with their produce or whatever they were bringing into port. Anyway, so all along here was sheds, and they were starting to clear it up when I was sort of starting to run, and I came through a group of people here. Like, I reckon it was pretty much here. And then found out it was a fun run, borrowed some money off someone, because I'd already run from my mum's place at Norman Park, over the Story Bridge to here, and borrowed some money off some fella to do the race, and then ran home to mum's house afterwards. And that was my first race. I didn't even know fun runs existed. I just aimlessly came across one during my, aimless training runs. Or wasn't even a training run, I used to run, just used to run. Yeah.
So how old were you then?
I would have been about 19 when I came through here.
19.
And I came across a group of people and ended up going in my first fun run. Yeah.
And what point in time do you remember, because obviously you had a lot of success throughout your career at every level, and then you decided, and you literally invented online running coaching, and there's been so many people that have imitated you right across Brisbane.
Right.
What actually led to you starting out actually coaching?
Yeah, Troy Fiddler is a triathlon coach. He's not. I think he's specialised in swimming now. But Troy asked me to take his runners for a training session, and we used to meet at the ship end just up here, and maybe a dozen of Troy's runners from his triathlon club, I'd take them for a training session. Anyway. I sort of thought, well, maybe I could do this myself. I don't need to do it for Troy. I'll do it myself. So I basically just started doing it myself, and somehow just attracted more and more people. But and then at the same time, I knew Mark Allen, who was a famous triathlete. He was doing triathlon online coaching, and I don't think anyone else was doing the running online coaching. So I just started doing the running online coaching. So I reckon I was one of the first to do that.
Yeah.
And certainly first in Australia. And then I started this running group, and it just started to grow, word of mouth, whatever, and ended up with back in the day, my largest record number for one day was 160 people. I had 160 people here for a running group, and it's dwindled off over the years. I still had, what's today, Wednesday? I still had 40 people yesterday. Yeah. So so it's still going strong, but it was just, I was the first person in Australia. I was definitely the first person in Australia doing that. I was the first person in Australia holding a community running group, and then Sean Williams in New South Wales, I think he sort of saw what I was doing. So Sean thought, I'll get into this. So he sort of started doing a community running group also. But before I came along, there was no such thing as a community running group.
How do you define
doing intervals? Yeah.
How do you define your coaching style?
Mainly pretty laid back, pretty old school. I'm old school, and I'm proud of it. Consistency is just overrides everything. So, it's a matter of working out. If someone comes on board, I had a lady jump online with me yesterday and signed up, and has a really busy lifestyle, kids, whatever, training for the Sydney Marathon next year, and I end up being the voice of reason with her, because she's going, I'm gung ho, I'm ready to go, let's get into it, and I'm going, well, hang on, I think we need to realistically work out, what you can handle, with everything else that's going on. So I'm thinking maybe she might only be able to run but I'm thinking maybe 3 days a week might suit her, But with that 3 days a week, I'm going 3 days a week every week and don't miss a week. So that consistency of 3 days a week for months on end. And rather than, go 4 or 5 days and then everything goes to, a month's down and lost a mojo because she burnt herself out and whatever. So, because I've seen people do that over the years, when I get someone and I can sort of get a good feel for what their lifestyle's like, then I'll suggest maybe you can't do as much as Mary Lou or Joe Blow. So but to answer your question, consistency in your training, minimizing the interruptions is the way to go.
Yeah. So if I wanted to get into running and I came and saw you, what's the first piece of advice that you give me?
Well, I mean, you've got to build a foundation. I mean, you're a builder, mate. You've got to you've got to put some good foundations in before you put the bloody roof on. Don't go straight for the roof. So, do your time like jogging around for a while. Ideally, in an ideal world, I mean, I do the online thing, so people sign up with me, only got, 3 months, 4 months to work with, So I can't say to them, well, okay, I think you're coming from ground zero. I think you should go and jog around for 6 months and, just do some aerobic work and build up some strength and whatever. But when you got a 3 months time frame, you can't really do that, So, but building a base and when I see people running, if I see that they've got something going on that I think they need to address, then I'll make comment there. But I'm not an expert in that field. But there are some things that really stand out that you say to someone, look, you got this going on. If you really want to train for this marathon, strong chance you won't get there because the more running you do, the more this biomechanical thing you've got going on is going to come back and bite you. So it might be best to address this first.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. So when I hear people say train smarter, and are there any hacks that you know of to be a good runner?
Well, it depends. What are we talking? Are we talking elite? Are we talking weekend warriors? What are we talking?
I think it doesn't really matter. So even let's talk weekend warriors. Probably more weekend warriors out there than there are the elite.
Yeah. Well, it depends what the person's goal is. I mean, does this person, are they just happy to finish? Let's talk marathon. Are they happy just to finish a marathon, or do they want to run under 4 hours, or they want to run under 3 hours? So there's all different sort of scenarios. But I think I still, anyone I deal with, I still like to have them running tough at least once a week, because it just gets boring just sort of going out for a run and another run, okay, same pace, another run, the same pace. Whereas if you can, do some intervals, do some hill reps, then it breaks it up, makes the journey a bit more interesting, makes you a bit more fitter. And so I even regardless of the person's goal, even if it's they're training for their first marathon, which may take them, a long time, I still like to have those people running tough once a week. But at the pointy end, you've got people running tough 3 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah, so at least 3 times a week, and then smash yourself out on one of those days at least.
No, I'm saying elite athletes would run hard 3 times a week, and they would train 7 days a week and often twice a day. Whereas you got someone who's wanting to run their first marathon, may run 5 hours, then I'd say for that person there, ideally run 4 times a week, but you run tough once a week.
Yep. Now, you talked about consistency. I'm a huge believer in that as well. What about discipline? How do you define discipline? And is that something, to be an elite athlete, do you need to have discipline?
Yeah, we're talking elite athletes here, so good. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. You got to be tough as nails. I mean, nothing stands in your way. Rain, hail, or shine, you get it. Maybe not hail, maybe not lightning, but nothing stands in your way. You get out the door and you get it done. There's no excuses. You just got to be tough. I never balked on a training session because I always imagined that there'd be someone out there that I was going to compete against in the next race, and if I didn't train for whatever period of time or week or whatever, then I'd be concerned that they're getting one up on me. So I'd always think, well, what are they doing? So not that I needed that sort of motivation, but certainly when I was injured, I was concerned about falling behind and what are my competitors doing.
Yeah. So that leads me into the next question. So nowadays there's a lot of discussion around mental health. There's a lot of mental health issues, mental fitness, and obviously what you're referring to a lot there with that level of discipline is mental toughness. Did you go through any mental health issues throughout your career?
No, not at all. And people used to say to me, I think back, people used to say to me like, how you going? And I was going, yeah, I'm okay. And like for decades, people ask me like, are you okay? Yeah, how you going? I said, well, I'm fine. What's the problem? Why are you asking me how I'm going? And it's only like in the last sort of 10, 20 years, I started to think, oh, maybe they were sort of, wondered if I was sort of, okay in myself. Well, I was always okay in myself.
Because you didn't mind going for a run by yourself, did you?
No, I don't have a problem with that at all. And working out is not an obstacle for me. I'm an aerobic junkie. It's my drug of choice. And I have never not wanted to work out for the last 45 years since running through here. There hasn't been a day I haven't wanted to work out. And it's not, it was never been a day where I go, I really just don't feel like, getting out the door today. I might just sloth around for, a day or two. It just hasn't happened. I just.
You're a freak.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just feel edgy if I don't work out. And like my daughter asked me to look after my grandkids there a while back, and I was I had to look after my grandkids like in 3 months' time, and the first thing I thought of was, how am I going to work out? And like here I am, I'm thinking 3 months down the track, I'm trying to think, bloody hell, what am I going to do? How am I going to work out that day? Anyway, so I just end up getting on a bloody spin bike at my house, which I do. Spin bike's my plan C. So, I just got up and sparrows fart before they woke up and hopped on the spin bike. So, yeah, I don't think I'm a head case in that regard. And I don't believe it's an addiction. I just believe that that's just...
It's who you are.
It's just who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. As we get older, you've got recovery becomes a little bit more of an issue. Nutrition becomes a little bit more important. What are you doing now from a training perspective to stay fit, apart from running?
Yeah, so I only run, say, 3 days a week now. I've got a bit of a meniscus thing going on, so I've got to keep that at bay. And so it can get a bit fiery. So if it does, I back off. But I'm sort of maximum 1 hour on my legs for a training run. Which I'm sort of okay with it, because I was looking down the barrel of an operation, and even then I'm looking down. I went to see the surgeon, and he's going, oh yeah, I can operate on that. And the first thing I thought of was, I'm not jumping in a bloody moon boot. I'm not going to be able to work out. Anyway, so no operation. So but I ran this morning for the best part of an hour, and no pain whatsoever. So I paddle a lot. So I paddle on the Brisbane River here. So I've been paddling for 20 years. And
A lot of people don't know that about you, do they?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably a lot of things people don't know about me, mate. But I've been paddling for over 20 years and love it. So I'll hop on the river here by myself, and I'll paddle for the best part of 2 hours solo. You know, just go away with my thoughts or whatever. And you know, I have one fella who I paddle with, but because, you know, we get a bit of banter going, and but, you know, apart from Brian, you know, I'm pretty happy just going for a paddle by myself. You know.
So by the sound of it, because I know when I've spoken to a lot of elite athletes, when they go from that professionalism and then back down to, right, okay, I've retired, there's a fair transition. But by the sound of it, your training hasn't changed too much from when you're an elite athlete. You're still occupying yourself and training every day.
I don't get out of my comfort zone. So I'm in the river here. I'm paddling.
So you're sustaining it.
I'm paddling, but I'm going solid, but I'm not doing efforts.
Yeah.
I'm not doing effort. I can't be bothered doing efforts. So there are some guys who get in the river down there at Bloomberg and they do efforts, and I'm thinking, nah, I'll be right. I'm not, you know, paddling along, looking at the bloody trees and birds and stuff. I'm having a go, but I'm not, you know, going real hard, you know. So yeah, I do that a few days a week. I spin bike maybe a couple of days a week. So I do something every day.
Yeah.
So either run, paddle, or spin bike. Yeah. And when I'm saying paddling, we're not talking, you know, these big plastic things that, you know, you just, I'm talking an elite sort of long bloody fiberglass sort of job, you know.
Yeah, the epic skis.
Yeah.
What about nutrition? What does an ex-marathon?
Yeah, well, I've actually, I've only just cleaned my act up this year. I wasn't really looking after myself there before this year. I was drinking too much. I was drinking probably 3 drinks a night. I've always been a drinker. So even through my elite career, I drank. And I'm Irish, it's in my blood. Not particularly proud of it, but that's just the way we're sort of built, I guess. And so my dad was a big drinker. My dad was a massive drinker, so I think I got something from him. And and it's only this year that I've sort of cleaned my act up. Still have a beer on a hot day. I'll still have a drink on the weekend, but I'm not drinking at all, you know, during the week, Monday to Thursday, nothing at all. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I love going to bed knowing I haven't had a drink. I love waking up in the morning knowing I haven't had a drink. And I've also cleaned up my diet. I try to make sure anything I eat is real. It's not coming out of a packet. Like I said before, I've started making my own muesli. I'm having natural yogurt and muesli for breakfast on all these nuts and stuff and berries and whatever. And, you know, like tonight, I'll have some salmon and some salad for dinner. So, you know, I don't, I've cut out my flat whites. I'm down to almond flat whites, which is pretty good.
Look at you go.
Yeah, but I've lost. I said I was carrying a little bit. I've lost about 5 kilos since I did the fasting thing, which I know you do. I did the fasting thing for a few months and continuously lost maybe 4 or 5 kilos, and it wasn't going any further. So I thought, okay, what I'll do now is I'll just try and eat healthy, and I've sort of, you know, bottomed off. Maybe lost another kilo, maybe. But I've sort of leveled off now, and I'm happy where I'm at with my weight, and yeah, just happy with what I'm doing. That I've cleaned my act up, because I sort of thought to myself, you know, I spent a lot of time, you know, trying to motivate people to have a healthy lifestyle, but mine wasn't really 100% healthy, and I thought, you know, always think about, you know, if your day's up and your days are numbered, you know, what would you regret? And I thought to myself, one thing I would regret is I wasn't looking after myself, you know, health, food-wise, and exercise, the exercise thing coming, but nutrition-wise, I wasn't looking after myself. So I thought, if someone said, you know, you've only got a year to go, mate, I would have thought, well, gee, I wish I'd sort of lived a more of a healthier lifestyle, you know. So now I'm there, and now I'm doing that, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Now, with technology, I know as part of your coaching, you're not a real fan of any of the wearables or anything, but how have you seen technology change over the years, and in particular shoes, and do you reckon today's shoes make you faster than what they were back in your day?
Yeah, so technology back in my day, when I was coming through here 45 years ago, I was leaving from my mum's house, and maybe not this particular run, but I had a 8K circuit I used to do from mum's house, and I'd time myself from the kitchen clock. I'm talking the bloody, the 24-hour kitchen clock with the minute thing, and I'd wait till it was like 5 o'clock, right? And I'd bolt out the door, and I'd do this bloody 8K run, and I'd come back, and I'd be sweating, and I'd call out to Mum, what's the time? What's the time? And I wanted her to say, like, it's 5:34 and 20 seconds or something, and she'd just go, oh, it's a bit before 6, And so that was what I started with. That's what I started with timing myself, and I couldn't rely on Mum, but I couldn't go in the kitchen because I was bloody sweating, Anyway, it's gone nuts, hasn't it? So the sat-nav watches and sat-nav watches and the super shoes, right? They're the two main things.
Yeah.
And
so the super shoes do make you faster?
Oh yeah, I have never run the pair, but I talk to people about them and whatever, and so they're called something percent. I can't think what they're called, but 3% or 4%, 4% I think, 4% or something. That's when the first one came out, the Vaporfly or whatever. They said it was a 4% or something, meaning it improves your time by 4%. And I've talked to people and they said, yeah, it does. So we're talking at the sharp end. We're talking a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But I'm only going on hearsay, and I'm not going to be one of those people that go, back in my day we didn't have this sort of thing, because it's just sometimes you can't stop progress. You can't, and it's the way it's happened. But I in a way I wish it didn't happen, because I would have still. I ran 2:09 for a marathon, and I would have thought, well, if someone runs 2:09 for a marathon, where they hurt just as much as what I did when I ran 2:09 for a marathon, So, or were as good as what I was when I ran 2:09 for a marathon, Whereas maybe it's not really that. Maybe we're got that difference there. You got the sat-nav watches. My gripe with the sat-nav watches is, when I'm running along the river here and I observe people running, and it sort of annoys me a bit when I see people just continually looking at their watch, and they do this, and I'm thinking, I'll watch this guy. I'll see how often he's looking at his watch. He doesn't know I'm looking at him because I'm on the river, and every 100 meters, it's this sort of business, and nothing like that back in my day, but we used to just go for a run and just enjoy being out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that so many people are involved in distance running now. Don't get me wrong, it's such a beautiful thing. It's so good for...
It's blown up, hasn't it?
So good for people's health and well-being, and it's so good for the community and whatever. So it's just fantastic. But a lot of these people have come into the sport because of the gadgets, and I think, the iPhones, the mobile phones weren't around back in my day. So, we didn't have this sort of dopamine thing, where you had to continually look at your phone to get a hit from it, and all this sort of business, And and I think it's the same with when people are running with their sat-nav watches, it comes a bit of a habit, like, they just keep doing this sort of business, and sort of takes it. They've got into it in a different way than when I got into it. When I got into it, I was running through here 45 years ago, just enjoying running. I didn't know how far I was running. I didn't know how fast I was running. I was just out for a run. And maybe not so much the case these days. People are running through here, they're looking at their cadence, they're looking at their pace, they're looking at their their calories burnt and all this sort of business, and where's the look at the beautiful flowers, and where's the running along with your mates. I'll give you one example. I know some guys who training for a marathon, and they met up training for the marathon, all got similar goals, but they, after a while, instead of like three guys just run along, sledging each other and paying out on each other, which what we used to do back in the day, after a few K, they're not running together because they've got to stay with their bloody heart rate. I mean, I think that's crap.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. Three guys, we train for a run, just go for a bloody run together. Leave your bloody watch at home. Take the PISS out of each other. Have a good time. Have a laugh. But here they are running apart because they've got to stay to their heart rate.
Ridiculous.
It's fucking ridiculous. Pardon the French.
Is there such a thing as a proper running style? And there are some common mistakes that you see people making when they're running along that probably, I've heard the expression used of efficient, and some people look like they're very efficient when they're running. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, if it works and you've been doing it for decades and you're not injured, then fine. But ideally, if you're really keen and you want to dot all your I's and cross all your T's, and you want to get into running, you'd be going along to a biomechanist or a podiatrist and jumping on a treadmill, and they're filming you. They're measuring. They've got U-Butte treadmills now that they can measure your where your foot lands. What's happening with your stride length and whatever. Where's your center of mass when you're running, all that sort of stuff. So, that would be the ideal way to go, and because that would, possibly prevent any injuries happening down the road. Because once injuries happen, there goes your consistency, as we talked about before, and and you'd maybe get advice as to, strength and conditioning that you could do in the gym. Maybe for example, a lot of people. Glutes, a lot of people don't activate, their glutes aren't activated, so it's good to do glute firing exercises because if your glutes are working, then your hips are okay. But main thing I've found with runners over the years is calves. I mean, if the one injury which often brings people to cropper, especially once you're past 40, is your calf. Yeah. And if you want to do a lot of running, I was talking marathon here today for whatever reason, but you want to train for a marathon, you're over 40, you have to do regular eccentric exercises for calf strength. Prevention's better than cure, but I'm not one to say what running style is best, but when you see someone running, if they're running fluently, they're not making a lot of noise when they're hitting the ground. Their stride length is not too long, their stride length is not too short. They're using their arms properly, they're not leant over. I mean, I think everyone's got in their mind what the ideal style is. And I think once you start moving away from that, you can go, well, maybe, you should be doing this or should be doing that.
Legacy. I know that you've been recognised nationally with the OAM for contributions to community, to health and to running, but what do you want to be remembered for?
I don't know. Do you really get remembered though?
I think you will be remembered.
Yeah, but I don't know if people will get real. I don't know. I mean, I think you get remembered, but like, how long do you get remembered for? Like I was thinking that. Like Ron Clark. Ron Clark?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. So Ron Clark was a great runner, and he's back in the 60s and possibly Australia's best ever. But Ron passed away there, a decade ago or so ago, and great man, and held so many different world records, But the young crew now probably wouldn't know who Ron Clark was, and so I'm not sure if your running career is something that's going to be talked about in decades to come. But so if I wanted to be remembered for something, I guess, I think I've helped a lot of people turn their lives around. With my running group,
Yep.
I know that people have found friends there, and so that's always been pretty cool with me. There are a lot of friendships, because they talk about things that are important in your life to live a long life, but friendships is one of them. So and online, I've helped people achieve goals that they maybe didn't think was possible. So it's great that I've been able to help people with achieve their own goals, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get remembered though. To be honest, and that doesn't sort of bother me a great deal. I think I've sort of left my mark. I've got a few years to go, but I think I've left my mark. But I'm equally as proud as my family. Two great kids, Jess and Tim, and I got 3 beautiful grandchildren. That's probably more important to me than, well, it is. Family's everything, isn't it? So that's more important to me than my running career. I'd throw it all away in a heartbeat if I could, if it was between still having my grandkids or my running career.
Yeah. If somebody out there who thinking about getting into running but thinks, I'm too old, it's all too hard, it's too late, what would you say to them? I think you'd have to get your weight under control. So I would focus on getting your weight down to a manageable level for running, and also pick your climate. It's soon going to be hot as hell here in Brisbane. So someone who's like, what scenario did you throw there? What age did you throw them in? Just any age.
Any age. Yeah, but let's say someone's been out to pasture. And they go, oh yeah, I'm going to take up running, and they get out the door on the 1st of January and New Year's, and they
At 9 o'clock.
at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, they might get the first day out of the way, and but maybe the second and third. But then they go, this is bloody ridiculous. It's hot as hell out there, and I just feel crap when I'm running, and so I think get your weight under control, but go to a gym and in an air-conditioned environment and run on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And just do a lot of cardio on a spin bike, on a elliptical trainer. So do a lot of non-weight bearing stuff to get yourself fit-ish and get the weight off if you're carrying weight. But I would say, if someone's starting from ground zero, and I think a treadmill in the gym, or get a treadmill at home or a treadmill in the gym, I think that'd be a great way to go. It's not hot, it's comfortable climate. You're going to get the running done. You're not going to whinge about it's too hot or whatever. I think that'd be a way to start.
Great advice. Quick fire question time. You ready?
Yeah, man.
What was your favourite distance to train for?
I did marathon.
Proudest achievement in running?
When I won Beppu in 94.
You won the Gold Coast Marathon 4 times. Which one means the most for you?
The last time I won, the last time I won, which was in, and I was at 97, 97, last time I won. Anyway, when I finished, I crossed the finish line, arms up in the air, look at me, I'm a bloody superstar. And then I turned around and walked out back into the crowd. People were going nuts, of course, Anyway, I walked out in the crowd, and there's people either side of the bloody barricades. Anyway, but the first people I saw was my family. It was my mum, my brothers, and it was just amazing. When I gave them a hug, and so that I still remember that as clear as day. So yeah, finished. For some reason, normally I'd just finish and just keep walking, but for some reason, I decided to do the poser thing and go back into the crowd, and my family was there, and it was sensational. Yeah.
Favourite quote or mantra that you live by?
Every day above the ground's a good day.
How old were you when you first believed you were capable of running it 2 hours under 2 hours 10?
Yeah, it was sort of chipped away, really. I mean, I thought, I want to run under 3 hours, ran under 3 hours. And I thought, I'd really love to run under 220, and then ran under 220. And then when I ran under 210, I thought, this is pretty bloody cool.
One thing you're really bad at?
One thing I'm really bad at is, can we come back to that one? I'll think about it.
The greatest distance runner the world has ever seen?
Yeah. I don't know, mate. There's been just so many. I mean, Kipchoge's pretty cool. I mean, Ron Clark was great. So yeah, I'd say between Ron and I don't know. I'm not really an authoritarian on the history of distance running. Even though I love running, I've never been an historian, and I've never really delved into it and thought, and analysed it and thought, yeah, I reckon this person's the best. Yeah.
Who's the oldest runner you've ever coached?
Or
how old?
Oh yeah, probably in the 70s, mate.
Who inspired you most growing up?
Probably it wasn't really growing up, because I would have been in my late teens, early 20s, and I'm thinking maybe I probably wasn't even growing up then either. So probably Rob Digastella.
Favourite running shoes?
That'd be the Mizuno Wave Rider for sure.
What really annoys you?
People who in the community who don't do the right thing by others. And I mean, there's so many things you could say that addresses, but I'm talking the little stuff. Can't stand it when people park in disabled parking zones when they're not disabled. Can't stand it when someone takes a bloody shopping trolley away from a shopping centre, 3 kilometres, and just leaves on the side of the road. That sort of stuff just really, But the disabled parking thing, I've always been I was brought up a Catholic. I don't practice the faith now, but I was brought up a Catholic, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Great advice. Yep.
And so I guess I get a bit annoyed when they're not doing that. Like when people speed or whatever. I'm thinking, come on, guys, we're all in this together. Would you want someone speeding down your street when you got your kids running around the footpath? I mean, why are you doing it down my street?
Yep. If you could go back and talk to your 30-year-old self just before you ran that 2 hour 10 marathon, what would you say to yourself?
Do whatever it takes. Make sure you get a start on the Olympic team. So I qualified for 4 Olympics and didn't go to one, and injury, illness, bad choices or whatever. So that still irks me. So I would say, mate, don't finish up your career without not going to the Olympics.
Outside of running, what's one daily habit or practice that's benefited you the most?
Play guitar. I play guitar a lot. So I took up guitar when I was 50, and just absolutely love it. And like last night, got together with a couple of guys, and we ripped out, we're playing at a party in a couple of weeks' time. We had got 22 songs we ripped through, and it's just fantastic. I just absolutely love it.
Well done. Who will be Australia's next world champion distance runner?
Oh, that'd have to be Jessica Hull.
Finish this sentence, I believe.
I believe to succeed you need to have belief. You've got to be realistic, but I think that if no matter what you set yourself challenge. It's really important that you believe in yourself.
What a great way to finish. Thank you so much.
No worries, mate. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the M26FIT podcast. Remember, real growth happens one step at a time, and consistently working both your mind and body for 26 minutes every day will change your life. Hit subscribe to keep the inspiration going, and don't forget to share this episode with someone who needs that extra boost. Until next time, stay connected and stay active.